Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our March the 8th council meeting. And we will, just a second here. First of all, I want to acknowledge our brave and individual woman who's sitting at our council table. Today is International Women's Day. Karina, thank you for putting up with us. And I realize that you have a very strong spirit, but yet at the same time, I think you're a very gentle, sensitive individual, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
And all our staff as well. We have Jen and we have Wendy in here as well, so thank you for serving, and thank you for being who you are. Really, really much appreciated. Be it resolved that the agenda of the regular council meeting for March the 8th be adopted. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
The seconder?
Don?
Thank you. And any additions?
Yes, one addition, the police contract, BTRPA police contract.
Okay, so under finance, we'll include that in there.
Okay.
And then also we'd like to have a short in camera in regards to an update on our wastewater. So with those addition, do I have all in favor? And that is carried. All kinds of noises. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 22nd be adopted. Mover?
Michael?
And a seconder?
Karina.
Thank you. Any errors or omissions?
Not that I saw.
Hearing none. All in favor? And that is carried. Correspondence. We have a letter here from the Municipal Relations regarding law enforcement and bylaws, and make sure that we are up to date. And I believe, Jody, we have all of those things looked after.
Correct.
What is happening?
Was there a particular reason that this was sent? Was it generally sent to all municipalities, or was there a concern in places that they felt the need to send something like this?
To my knowledge, it was just a general update. I don't know if there was something from the provincial end that prompted it. If so, we are not made aware of that.
Okay.
I know that there are some municipalities who do not have the local bylaws resolution in place yet. So
Okay. So it may have been
Probably.
encouragement.
encouragement at some of the smaller ones, more remote ones, so need to ensure that everybody gets the same update. Okay, moving on to finance then, so if we could maybe have the resolution read.
You can do 5.1 first though, right?
We can do 5.1 first if you want. Don't have to. Be it resolved that the accounts payable the amount of $339,864.13 as approved by the Finance Committee be approved for payment. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Andrew?
Any questions in regards to those payables? Got the check register there. All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the monthly financial reports and financial statements for December 2021 be received for information. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
Seconder?
Andrew?
Any questions regarding the financial statements?
Usually he highlights the latest revisions. I noticed that the latest revisions that were highlighted are still from December.
These are pertaining to December, though.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Good call.
Okay. All right, no more questions, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the Finance Committee meeting minutes for the February 22nd, 2022 meeting be adopted. Mover?
Henry Siemens.
And do I have a seconder?
Andrew?
Thank you, Andrew. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the 2021 surplus be transferred to reserves as follows. To the general fund reserve, $2.217,769.88. To the utility fund reserve, $881,383.10. Mover,
Henry Siemens?
seconder.
Andrew?
Any comments regarding that?
The number obviously appears significant, but the spreadsheet details where each one of those came from and how we ended up at that place. So again, good work on David and the team for putting that together and bringing a very clear reason for why we would look at a number like that, which seems obviously very significant. Good news, because the opposite way would be very disappointing. But still, we want to make sure that we budget accurately and confidently, and I don't think that there's any concern on that regard when we see a number like this and then when we have a good explanation for how we ended up there.
And then the other thing that I'd just like to add with that, that number will quickly disappear when we look at our wastewater treatment project. So it's not something that is there for a long term, but it is something that will be quickly gobbled up.
It's a cause for celebration today,
Yep.
not so much after that, so.
At least there may be a little bit more money in the checkbook in order to write the check out next year. or this
Absolutely.
year. All right, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, now the resolution regarding the contract.
Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So this was the resolution that was added. It's be it resolved that the contract between the City of Winkler and the Boundary Trails Regional Police Association, Winkler Local, effective January 2020 to December 31, 2024, receive ratification of Winkler City Council.
Do you have a mover
I'll move. Andrew?
and a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. And just a note of appreciation, I know you and David have been very resilient in working for quite some time to get this contract completed. And I'm also thankful to our police service who have mutually agreed to the terms that are set in the contract. And it also sets us up till the end of 2024, which brings us well into the next administration period. And I think it's a win-win for everybody. And I was looking through it and I saw some of the things that were rejected, some of the things were adjusted, and some of the things that were accepted. And then you can tell how much in depth the conversations have gone to get to this conclusion. So I just appreciate that process. So, all in favor of accepting this as unanimously ratified? Be it resolved that the Winkler Fire Committee meeting minutes for March the 2nd, 2022 be received for information. Mover?
Michael?
Seconder?
Don?
Any questions regarding those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? And that is carried. Then we go down to the MSTW report. What is the- Be it resolved that the MSTW Planning District meeting minutes for January the 19th, 2022 meeting and reports for the January 2022 be received for information. Mover?
Don?
Seconder?
Andrew?
Any comments or questions regarding the MSTW minutes?
Well, so far this year, we've, as far as Winkler, we've done very well in bills, new starts. So there's a lot of permits that have come out. And if this continues, we're going to have another good year.
It looks promising for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, comments? No? All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the bylaw number 2204-18, vehicle for hire bylaw, be given first reading to adjust Schedule B. Mover?
Henry Siemens?
Seconder?
Michael?
Thank you. Any questions regarding that bylaw, or you want to, maybe Jody, if you want to give us a bit of an explanation on the update for the media?
Yep. So I believe it's the schedule there that's updated that adjusts the formula for how many license we would have per capita. So we're changing it to one taxi allowed per 2,000 population. And really, that's just to allow for the growth that we have.
And prior to that, it was every 4,000, right?
I believe it was 4,000. Yep, that's right.
Okay. Well, I think it becomes even more critical when we don't have a public transit system, that there be more taxi services available. All right, any other questions?
I think one other piece that we looked at as we reviewed it was to make sure that while we certainly want to make sure that there's more available, we also want to provide some protection for the people that are investing into the equipment to be able to do this, that they can have some confidence to continue to invest, knowing that it's not going to be a free-for-all, that there will be some protection and limits that will allow them to recoup their investment.
That's right.
Okay. All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the Winkler Resource Committee meeting minutes for February 22nd, 2022 meeting be received for information. Mover?
That's, which one?
We can go back to planning,
Sorry.
we just missed that
Oh,
one.
sorry, I was
Oh, I
on
missed
planning
one
in
on
my head.
planning,
I'm sorry, I'm
sorry.
like, wrong date, what? Sorry. We can do Winkler Resource, that's fine. It's Karina.
Okay, I'll come back to the other one.
Sure,
Okay, and a seconder?
Andrew?
thank you.
Thank you. And again, there, I was looking at the number of things that they're involved with and the people that are involved with. It's just commendable that we have those kinds of services available, so
Absolutely.
appreciate it. All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the Planning Committee meeting minutes for the February 17th, 22 meeting be adopted. Mover?
Henry Siemens?
Seconder?
Don?
Any questions regarding those Planning Committee meetings? There's a few of them there.
Pretty straightforward, I think.
Okay. All in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved, the meeting of council recess for the purpose of holding public hearings. And Jody, I'll turn it over to you for subdivision 4463, 21-8139.
I'll so move.
And I'll second that.
All in favor? That is carried.
Okay, I will give an overview of the public hearing, and then after that, Mayor Harder will ask if there's anyone here who would like to address council regarding the hearing. And we just ask that when you speak, you come up to the podium and use the microphone that's there, and state your name and address, and then just to ensure all questions and comments are directed towards the mayor as the chair of the meeting. And then after everyone's been heard, the public hearing will be closed. Just grab my paper here. Okay, so this is a public hearing for a subdivision which is located along Northlands Parkway, as shown in the public notice. And in relation, or I'll just read the general intent. is that according to the Planning Act, if a proposed subdivision will result in the creation of a new public road, the council must hold a public hearing to receive representations on the proposed subdivision. And the subdivision is illustrated on the public notice by the heavy solid lines on Schedule A. And we've circulated this to the appropriate residents in the area based on the Planning Act, and we have not received any objections to this application in our office.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody here who wants to speak for or against this subdivision? Against? Yeah, maybe the against first, that way the one who's speaking for it can either clarify or... So is there anybody here to speak against
The only
it?
thing we can say is just talk about the road, right? That's the only thing that we're here to discuss.
There's the variations and,
That's next though, right?
yeah, that's next. This public hearing is for the subdivision, so you don't have to limit your comments to the road. You can comment on the subdivision.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to do
If
that,
you
we'll just
like-
ask you to come up.
Yeah, just say your name and address, and so that we can record it.
Well, Abron, 9 Sapphire Bay, Winkler. But, yeah, well, I'm not sure what all I'm concerned about the heights of them, but the buildings that they're planning on building there, it gives almost no privacy to our backyards. They're 3 stories high and building them right next to our properties. And, yeah.
The only thing is this,
So-
I'm not sure if the actual structures are up for debate here, are they? They
So-
are? Okay, okay, no, that's good, okay,
Okay, so heights is quite
that's,
concerning.
You're
3
concerned.
stories is quite tall.
okay.
And then also just the types of buildings. I was kind of hoping it would be more single dwelling homes instead of quadruplexes that have, possibly brings down the values of our properties because of the values, like
John Cron, the developer. So yeah, our intent obviously is not to harm neighbors or anything like that, which is why we did settle on a type of building that was not a rental building. This is definitely designed towards home ownership. These will be well into the $300,000 price range, which actually doesn't buy you that much nowadays, but they're definitely well above that rental bracket. The lot is already zoned for multifamily, which allows for 3-story. So the hearing today, if my understanding is correct, is for a road opening as well as we're going for a variance on the setback.
Okay.
So
Maybe Scott, can you clarify a little bit, is the, if it was, the way the property is zoned, would there be any restrictions as far as the heights that these buildings are?
Yeah, so with regards to the building heights, that's not getting varied. So even if it was single family, the height restriction would be the same. It's roughly the 35 feet. If you're going to build a single family home, that's it wouldn't be allowed to be 3 stories in a single family, but the height restriction is the same amount depending on the type of structure that you're building. So also the densities, like John mentioned, it was previously zoned at the time of the North Point subdivision with the intent of RMA, which would now be equivalent to R2 in our current zoning bylaw, and that's up to 15 dwelling units per acre. when we were doing our new zoning bylaw, we anticipated the subdivision and we accommodated the R3. Even still, the densities that are being proposed would fit within that R2 capacity as well, so.
Thanks
Yeah.
for
So,
that clarification.
Also,
So
maybe
there's
just
no-
to clarify as well on the variances, like, there's 9 lots, or the lots 1 to 9 have the variance on the rear yard from 25 feet to 20. And then the other ones are to reduce the front yard setbacks from 25 feet to 12 feet. But what you see in front of that subdivision, I'll see if I can pull up that picture again, is a small, like a road that comes off
Right.
Northlands Parkway, which takes up some of what would have been the front yard area there.
Okay, so for the purpose of this hearing, then, the height isn't a variance requirement according to what it's zoned as,
That's right.
and the density is actually lower than what it was allowed for.
Okay, then, I haven't lived there very long, but when the development was made, were the neighbors contacted about doing this high density right in the backyards?
I think it's.
So
been
there was
on
a
for
public
quite
hearing
while.
when we updated our zoning bylaw. We held public hearings that went through all the different zoning changes. That's the time at which we did it, right?
Yeah, but also with the North Point subdivision, it would have been zoned for multifamily at that time as well.
So when that whole subdivision was created,
It was zoned that way
Yeah.
even before the zoning bylaw,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Before we owned it, it was zoned that
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
So the neighbors had no say as to what that could be zoned as, is what you're saying?
They would have
Yeah,
had input at those
Originally,
times,
we
yeah,
would have.
yeah. Those were open public hearings like this one here,
That would have been, what, 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah.
easily.
Okay, it's been there for quite some time. Okay,
Meaning I'm concerned about the height, it just, there's no backyard privacy anymore in that area. That's what I'm mainly
Yeah.
concerned about, backyard privacy.
Yeah, and we were very intentional with the design where obviously the view is towards the park, and so we've got a big balcony out of the front trying to address that issue. So you can see on the picture there, there's a full width of the unit balcony in the front facing the park. And so the units live very much out of the front. That in the back, you see that's a kitchen window. And there's a small, what I would call a barbecue deck maybe or something on that second floor.
so there's not like there's balconies in the back overlooking the neighbors' yards.
And then
Just
the
a small one.
third floor is bedrooms only.
Right.
So,
Just, I don't know if you guys would like to have a 3-story in your backyard. That's what I'm mainly
Yeah.
concerned about.
I guess for us to
I know
deal
that's
with
not
it,
why we're here.
yeah.
Right,
uh,
but still a valid concern, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a valid concern, but that's not the issue that we're,
And
In
if you
front of
brought
us.
up in a future hearing then, to maybe ask for something less?
I don't think so.
You'd have to change the
The
zoning.
height
bylaw.
is
Or-
built into the zoning bylaw.
Yeah.
Or even less zoning then? Can we ask for a different zoning?
Like in a future area,
No, for
or,
this one, can we
No.
ask for it
No.
to be
No.
zoned as a less,
No.
or single dwelling instead of a multi-high density?
Not for this
three-story?
one.
I think-
Not if this subdivision is approved and
Right.
goes forward, correct, Scott?
Right.
Like, if this subdivision is now approved, then we can't go back after the builder can build and say that it's a different zone now.
But the reason we have the zoning and the conditions for those particular zones in the first place is so that when a builder comes and wants to do something, he knows where he can build. Like, that's the reason for the
And to
zoning in
what
the first
spec?
place. And so when the lands get sold, in this case, you bought it, John, right? With that already there, so you can't go and change it
True.
midstream
we actually reduced the zoning
from what it could be.
3 to down to 2, which is
Right.
a lesser zoning than what we bought it as.
And I
Okay.
think the mitigating piece towards directing most of it towards the park is a really positive thing. Certainly, Abe, the concerns that you have, it's a great idea to express them to the developer here, should this be approved, to say what additional possibly could be mitigated in the back. I think up to that two-story piece, that's fairly consistent throughout even the single-family areas. So what, if anything, could potentially be done about those third-story windows? They're bedroom windows already, so they're smaller. But ultimately, if in fact we continue on and this and the variation are approved, your opportunity to have conversation with the developer to make suggestions certainly doesn't end here.
But that wouldn't be something council would get involved with. That would be
Right.
something between you as neighbors to deal with.
I think one thing, as far as when you're saying, would you want this in your backyard? I think as far as, I would feel very comfortable that these are being, these are for sale, these are not rental properties. I think if you would have a rental property, I would be more concerned about that than if somebody's buying these homes or these units and, you know, they have pride of ownership and all that. That goes a long ways as well.
Yes, but in our kind of area, it seems like there's a lot of multi-family homes already there. And this is adding to lots of multi-family situations there. Tall, big, connected buildings.
One thing that's a challenge for any community, and ours is no exception, is the affordability of homes is critical. And we are getting to a stage where the average person can never afford to own a home.
Right.
And I think that's a market, John, that you are wanting to get into or are in and have been in for quite some time. And I know, looking at the other developments that you have, including on the south side, the development looks very nice. So we're not, but appreciate you guys bringing that forward, and I'm sure John is also wanting to be good neighbors, so whatever he can work out. So therefore, be it resolved, this public hearing for variation application DA 2022-02 be closed. Mover,
Michael?
seconder?
Oh. Andrew?
Thanks, Andrew. All in favor? That is carried. Moving on to the next one, be it resolved that council approve the subdivision 4463-21-8139, subject to a development agreement. Terms and conditions of the required development agreement will be in accordance with the recommendations made in the city's report to council. Mover,
Henry Siemens?
seconder?
Don?
And a question we always ask is, are you aware of the conditions that are included in that development agreement? Okay.
I would just encourage again, obviously to be a good neighbor is vitally important. That we've heard the concerns mentioned by both Abe and Willie. What you can to mitigate that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, so with that, ready for the question? All in favor of approving the subdivision? Thank you. Again, as we said before, it's hard not to approve it when the zoning and everything is in place and there's no variances required other than a small variance in the backyard for your placement of the building. But
That's not this one, this is the road though.
yeah, no,
Correct.
this is for the subdivision. Okay, the road isn't separate here, is it?
You just have the variation left.
Correct. 13.3.
I'm a little
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have closed the hearing first, but.
Yeah, we did close the hearing.
Yep.
We've got the approval on the subdivision. We need 13.3
Yep.
what is it?
Okay, but that's what
13.33 on the agenda.
that's where I am. But it doesn't give me any resolution.
Yeah, it's-
3.3.
That's where I am.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's,
down here.
Yes,
That's
sir.
just the approval, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, be it resolved that council approves the variation. There you go, thanks. VA 2022-02, VA 2022-0017, subject to development agreement terms and condition of the required development agreement will be in accordance with the recommendations made to cities report to council. Mover,
Krina.
seconder,
Michael?
and any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor? That is carried. Be it resolved that public hearings be adjourned and regular council reconvene. Mover,
Krina.
seconder,
Don?
all in favor? Carried. I have no other business here other than, do you have any questions now, media, or do you have any later? Or later, okay. Therefore, be it resolved, public hearings be adjourned and regular council reconvene. This doesn't make any sense.
We're at 17.
That's what I will hear, okay. Be it resolved, the regular meeting of council be adjourned. Man, alive, I got some issues with.
Did you not have something else? You had it in camera, you said.
In
Okay.
camera, yeah.
Yeah. Mover,
Andrew?
seconder,
Krina. You can have it, Granny.
thanks, Michael. All in favor? And that is carried. Council meeting is adjourned.